Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to be going through some beginner tips for Black Myth Wukong. It was just announced that the game is finally going to be coming to Xbox Series S and X on August 20th, and then on top of that they're also going to be doing their first ever discount for the game on the digital version where you can get it for 20% off. So I've got the details for all of that on the screen, so if you haven't played Black Myth Wukong, now is your chance to pick it up if you're hopefully watching this video before or during that discount period. However, regardless, I'd recommend picking up the game because it is pretty amazing. But anyways, with that, as mentioned, I thought I'd put together kind of a beginner's guide as I never really made that type of video for this game. And I imagine with all of this, there's going to be a new influx of players coming in. So hopefully this will give you some good tips on how to get started and make the most of this game. I do have a bunch of other videos on my channel as well for Black Myth with like boss and build guides as well as other tips. So as you progress further into kind of the more challenging areas of the game, hopefully you can check those out as well if you're interested. And I can help you out there too. Alright, so starting off, just kind of a general overview of how the combat works in this game. I'll go into more detail with some of this stuff as we get into other topics, but again, just kind of at a high level. One thing to note though, starting off, I'm on an Xbox controller, so if your setup's different than mine or the buttons are different, whatever, you can check what those are on the settings tab under controller and keyboard or mouse if you're on that. You can see what all the buttons do. There's options to change the setups and whatnot there too. So you can check that if what I say is a little bit different. But you've got two main attack types that you'll do. There's a light attack and then there's also a heavy attack. So the light attack, that's just going to automatically put you into a combo that you'll do as you press the button, which looks like this. It's like a 5 or 6 hit combo that finishes up with that move there. And then your heavy attack, that's just going to be like one single big hit that you can do, which looks like that. So those are the kind of moves that you'll be doing quite a bit in this game. However, there's also the concept of focus and building up focus points, which you can see in the bottom right corner with the little monkey icon. So that is where kind of your light attack and your heavy attack work together, where you can use light attacks to build up focus, and then you'll spend those focus points on big heavy attack hits. So you'll notice like I've got 3 circles as I can build this up by just holding down the heavy attack button, and it's charging up and I'm earning focus points. And then I can do a big giant heavy attack there. However, you can also build that up by doing light attacks, which I'll demonstrate here in a second. But as you build up, so for example, I've got 1 circle, same type of attack, just doesn't do quite as much damage. One other thing to note too, I'll talk more about some of these icons that you see on the screen, but it's not going to look like this when you first start out, as you have to earn and unlock some of this stuff. For example, you won't have 3 focus points right at the beginning. But anyways, just kind of demonstrating that light attack and heavy attack focus point synergy that you'll be doing in combat. Another thing to add too is that you can lock on to enemies. As I hit down on my joystick, you can select which enemy to focus on. The camera will lock onto that, and then you can move your joystick to switch which enemy you want to attack. So going in with a light attack, you'll notice I go into that combo and I'm building up focus points. So kill those 2 enemies. I don't have quite enough focus yet to do that focused attack, heavy attack, but you can see it remains there, so you can build it up and kind of maintain that. So I can then go into this next enemy, lock on him with the camera, hit him with a light attack. So now I have that 1 single focus point built up, and I can hit my heavy attack button and spend that for an attack here. So I do a nice big attack there. The other option you have too, as I showed earlier, is you can just hold down the heavy attack button to charge up. So depending on the situation, you can kind of open up a fight with a big heavy attack. As you see, I'm just kind of charging that up before I go into to fight, and then you can go in and just immediately have that big powerful heavy attack by charging it up beforehand. The one downside though to charging up focus by holding down the button, and to keep in mind, is that it won't maintain that focus like when you build it up from defeating enemies. So the second you start holding down the button and you start charging up focus, as you see here, you have to use it. So it'll stay there for as long as I hold the button down and I can walk around and whatnot, but the second I let go of the button, it's going to use it no matter what. You can also do jump attacks, both in a light attack version and heavy attack, where you can use a focus point. Admittedly, I never used those very much in my playthroughs. However, you can do them, so just kind of demonstrating that here. Here's a jump light attack. So I kind of jump down and then back up on the ledge. You can also do the heavy attack and use a focus point. You can see that there. It can be really useful though if you come across enemies that are up on ledges though, as it is a good way to get up there quickly and do some damage. And then finally, the other main way that you can spend your focus points on heavy attacks is to incorporate them into your light attack combo. So if you use it, so you can see I'm not quite there yet. So if I go into a light attack combo, I've got my focus point. I can then, in the middle of my light attack combo, I can hit that heavy attack, and it's going to incorporate that into that heavy attack focus point. So with that, that's just going to use one focus point regardless of how many you have, compared to where you could like charge up for a 3 focus point heavy attack. So you can see I've got 2 points now. If I go into a light attack combo, hit the heavy attack button, I just use 1 point, so I can then go into another. After I dodge here, go into a light attack combo, and you can kind of just use them one at a time that way. And then wrapping things up for kind of the standard attacks that you can do, the one thing I haven't mentioned yet is the spin staff. So at first, there's really not a whole lot of use to this. It's kind of, you can upgrade it, but you can, as you can see, I'm not doing a good job with it. But if you get up to enemies, you can spin staff. So you can upgrade that later, which when we'll talk about builds, there's some abilities where you can make that a little bit more useful. But that's that left trigger. You can sit there and spin the staff, which, as you see, you can hit enemies with it. But the other use is that you can block projectiles. So that guy is shooting arrows at me. I can kind of like Star Wars lightsaber Jedi block arrows with the spin staff there as well. And that kind of leads into the more defensive side of things. So your main defensive ability is going to be dodging. So there's 2 versions here. You can just do a regular dodge, which obviously is to avoid damage when enemies attack you. But you can also do a perfect dodge, if I can get the timing right here. So that was just a normal dodge. You'll get like sort of a little visual and sound effect when you do it. So there you can see, you kind of get an echo of yourself and then a sound effect letting you know that you did a perfect dodge. This also builds up focus, if you noticed. So you can see there, that was enough to get me up to 3 focus. So that's another good way to charge up focus, especially during like boss fights. Once you get the timing down and whatnot, you can kind of dance with them a little bit, doing perfect dodges to build up focus, which would then you get turned into a heavy charge attack. So I think that should be most of the basics for combat, at least enough to get you started anyways. Now kind of addressing some of this other stuff on the screen that I haven't talked about. And again, I'll get into more detail as we get into those topics, but starting with the status bar on the bottom left corner. So a little bit self-explanatory, but that top bar that's glowing red, that's my health bar because my health is low. The blue bar is your mana for using spells and abilities. And then the bottom bar is your stamina. So that'll deplete as you dodge and run around and attack and whatnot. So you've got those, and then the gourd icon you'll notice next to that, that is essentially your health potion. And as you use that, that will deplete as you take sips. So you see, restored a little bit of my health, and that lowered. So you've got a certain amount of uses of those that can be upgraded. And then you'll notice a little white dot next to the gourd as well. That indicates the number of soaks you can add to it, which are like effects. So right now I can only add 1. However, you can get upgrades that will let you add 3, basically like additional effects to your drink as you progress through the game. So for example, here's a higher level character that I have that does have 3 soaks in my gourd. And then when I take a drink, if you look under the stamina bar, you can see that those 3 effects are active. So you've got those little icons letting you know that as well. And then moving up from there, you see the 4 icons with the right trigger key in the middle. There's kind of a similar looking one on the right side of the screen as well. So when you hold the right trigger down, that's going to bring up both of those and enlarge them. So starting with the left, if you use the D-pad, so right trigger, hold down, plus one of the up, down, left, right keys will use one of those items. So these have a bunch of different effects, as you can see, the 4 that I have there. But you can customize that. So if I open up my inventory, I only have 4 items right now because this is a new playthrough, but you'll collect all sorts of different items that you can see give you a variety of different effects. Like this is going to increase your damage reduction for a while. But you can set those and customize them. So you can see, kind of small, I'll zoom this in, but the different hotkeys that's assigned to that. So if I want to change my up D-pad item, I can then hit A and then choose, like, let's say I've got this talisman. I could change that to the talisman, or then I could change it back to that. So you can customize those. And then moving over to the right side, I'm going to go into more detail on this, but just quickly showing you, these are your like spells and abilities. So holding right trigger plus like Y is going to activate my cloud step ability. So those are your hotkeys for those. And then wrapping things up with the last 2 icons on the screen that I haven't talked about yet, in the bottom right corner next to your focus gauge. First is the vessel item that you currently have equipped, and then to the left of that is your spirit ability. So both of these utilize a resource called Chi to use, and you can regenerate and build that up by defeating enemies, kind of similar to like building up focus. And you can see the gauge on the left of each icon. It's like that curved line. So starting with your vessel, if you open up your equipment menu here, you can find that here. I currently have the fireproof mantle equipped. There's more. I only have one right now, but you can see there's an activation effect when you use it. So this will give you burn immunity and gradually increases focus, which will last for a short time. And then it kind of just has a passive effect as well, just by having it equipped. And this one gives you burn resistance and things like that. So those are useful to use. And then also your spirit ability. So again, I only have 4 right now. There's a ton of them that you'll get as you play through the game. But these will kind of have like a special attack that they do, but then similarly, they also have a passive effect by just having them equipped. So this one, the Wandering Wight, it doesn't attack, but then just having it equipped will also just increase my defense passively. One quick thing to note though on spirits at the beginning of the game, the Wandering Wight should be the first one that you're able to collect. However, when you try and do that after you defeat him, you'll get a message saying essentially you don't have the ability to do that. So a little bit further down the path of this chapter, you'll run into a merchant NPC character that you don't want to miss, as when you talk to him, he'll essentially give you the ability to do that with this Blessed Gourd item. So after that, then you'll have free reign to collect spirits after you defeat enemies. So you can either do it right after you defeat them with this little flame that you can collect. Otherwise, they'll be available at the Keeper's Shrine through the menu that you can just automatically collect. All right, so now with some of that base knowledge out of the way, I can talk a little bit more about how the character progression and builds work, which is honestly probably my favorite thing about this game, as it provides you a ton of flexibility and allows you just to play around with all of the different skills and upgrades that you can utilize. You're never really locked into a choice. It's not like you level up your character and that's a permanent thing that you have to live with for the rest of the game. They let you kind of reset everything whenever you want, which is awesome. So don't be afraid to experiment, try things out, as you can just kind of go back and reset things and try something else. So there is a ton of stuff that ultimately goes into your final build with all sorts of different choices, from all of the armor to your spirit abilities and your vessels that I just talked about. So I'm not going to go into super detail on all this stuff, as it would take forever. I just kind of want to give you a high-level overview of all of your choices and how all that comes together for a final build, so you can kind of get an idea of what the progression system is like in this game. So just kind of starting my way from left to right on the menu system here with self-advance. This is kind of your traditional, just like level up your character. As you get levels, you get skill points that you can spend on abilities and things, which in this game are called sparks. So you can see I've got 1 spark here. And I should note I'm currently on my main character, which is like level 300 something. So I'm basically max level, and you can see I've got pretty much every skill unlocked now. But kind of going through this, it's broken up into a couple different categories. I think there's 6 of them total. So we've got foundation, skills, staff stances, mysticisms, strands, transformations, and alterations. So as you click into one of these, each one of those categories is up here, and you can sort of sort it through that way. So starting with foundation, again, I'm going to try and go through this quick, because if I get too in the weeds, this is going to take forever. As you can see, there's a ton of choices, and this is just the first page. I will have a couple important callouts though as I go through this, but foundation is kind of your general character upgrades. It's broken up into 3 categories. Stamina, like decrease the stamina cost of certain actions, improves your dodges and things. Martial arts, this is where I said you could improve the staff spin when I said it wasn't very good. You can make that actually better by doing some upgrades under there. And then survival, that's just kind of more of like your passive character upgrades. So increasing your max health, increase your max stamina, defense, improve critical hit chance, things like that. So there's a bunch of stuff under there that you can choose. Staff stances, this is kind of important, as I didn't talk about this too much during the combat, but there are 3 different sort of attack types that you can upgrade towards. I would recommend sticking with Smash Stance. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the other 2, especially on your first playthrough or before you get a feel for the game. Kind of just stick with Smash Stance, which is default. But if you get those upgraded, if you choose to unlock them, if you see on the bottom right, I can switch between those 3 stances. So it basically just affects your heavy attack. So it changes what your heavy attack does. So that's the pillar stance. That's the thrust stance. And then again, smash stance, that's just default what I've been using. So again, I would recommend, at least until you get a feel for the game, stick with smash stance. I think that's the best one. And then if you want to play around with the other ones later, they do have their uses occasionally. But anyways, that's that. The other important call out here is this is where you unlock those 3 focus point circles. So I said at the beginning, you don't start with 3 focus points. That requires you get a certain amount of skill points on this page before you unlock those. So you can see that here. You can also get a 4th point as well, which I haven't shown, but you can do that. And then mysticisms, alterations, and strands. Those are kind of your main skill or spells or abilities. So each one of these is a group. So I can only use one of these 3. I can only use one of these 2. I can only use one of these 2 at a time. And those are tied, again, to the right trigger. And then depending on what key it is. So on each page, you can only pick one of them. And you can swap back and forth whenever you want, but you can only have one active at a time. So again, kind of standard, you can upgrade, make them better, stronger abilities with more effects and whatnot. And then transformations, one thing I haven't touched on yet. So there is this ability where you can basically transform into another character temporarily. And there's a bunch of these that you can unlock as you play through the game. I think there's 10 of them total. So this bottom row here, this is going to upgrade the transformation ability. And then what's cool about unlocking these is that this group here in the middle of the screen, those upgrades kind of unlock additional passive character abilities. So this will affect your main character, and then the bottom here affects while you're transformed, if that makes sense. But for example, like this upgrade here, once you unlock this transformation and I upgrade this, it's just going to give you a straight up defense increase as you put points into that. So transformations, if we take a look at that here real quick. Again, you can see I've got Azure Dome currently active as my transformation. That's the B button. So I can transform into that. So now I'm the Stone Monkey. And I got a new kind of health bar, and then a system called Might, which is the yellow bar underneath it. Basically just like a timer for how long it lasts. So as you attack and whatnot, that will go down. So either kind of one of two things will happen. You'll run out of health and then you'll transform back, or your might will deplete and then you'll transform back. And like some will have skills and whatnot, so you can use abilities and that will utilize that might bar. So that is basically how the skill system works in this game. So as you play and gain experience points, you'll earn sparks, and then you can come to this menu and choose skills to build out your character. As mentioned though, you can reset that at any time. If you go to a keeper shrine, which looks like this, these are basically like the checkpoint areas or fast travel points of the game. They've got their own little menu system. You have to do this from a keeper shrine, but if you go to the self-advance section, there's a reignite the sparks option. And you can see here, if I wanted to, I could reclaim all of my sparks that I've set and basically redo my build completely if I wanted to. I'd have over 300 sparks that I could redistribute wherever. But you can also just like go in and let's say I don't want the steadfast upgrade anymore. I don't want that defense. I want to put that into offense or something. So you can, as you see in the bottom right, reclaim a spark. So I could reclaim those, and then let's say I change my mind, I could put them back in there. So you have free reign just to kind of, let's say I want to switch from Cloud Step to Rock Solid. I could reclaim all these sparks. I'm going to take all these sparks out, and I'm going to put them into Rock Solid. So now my Rock Solid is fully upgraded instead. And then the other option, just to kind of add on to that, you have to reset your spells. So here I would go into this menu and I would change from Cloud Step to Rock Solid. So now when I open up the menu with right trigger, Rock Solid is now my option. All right, then moving on to the next category, which are relics. So these are kind of the main things you're trying to collect as part of the story of the game, but after each chapter you'll get one of these. So don't forget to, after you complete a chapter, make sure you select which ability you like. So each one has one of 3 that you can choose. I have all 3 active because I completed New Game Plus, and as you do that, each time you can have more than one active for each relic. But these are another thing that you can add. It's got all sorts of abilities. And then moving into another big category is equipment. So you have staves. So as you progress, there will be a bunch of different staves that you can collect, and then each one kind of has a tree with different attack. You can see critical hit chance. Some have poison, all sorts of stuff. So there's that aspect of it. So you can, if you have a poison build, you could use a poison staff, kind of that aspect to it. Vessels, as mentioned, you've got vessels, and each one has different abilities. So like this one, the passive effect will increase your critical hit chance and critical damage. So if you're looking for a critical hit build, you could utilize that vessel. And then spirit skills, again, is another big one. You can see there's tons of them that you'll collect. And each one kind of has its main attack that it does. And then also a passive effect. So again, if you were looking for a critical hit build, maybe you want to equip this spirit as it moderately increases your critical damage. Another thing to call out that's important with spirit skills is that those can be upgraded as well, and that's done at the Keeper Shrine. So if you go back into the same menu, there is a Cultivate Spirits option, and then here you can see there's a hold to A to cultivate, and that costs will, which is kind of the currency of the game, and you'll get that from defeating enemies and whatnot. So I can upgrade this, and as I do that, you can see it reduces the amount of chi cost for using the skill. And as you upgrade that, it's going to cost more resources. So this is going to require an item called Blood of the Iron Bull. So you can kind of keep upgrading that to make it more powerful, and now you can see the next upgrade effect. It summons an additional flameling. So if you find a spirit skill that you like, you can then consider investing resources to upgrade it and make it even more powerful. Next on the equipment screen is armor, which is broken up into 4 parts. So you've got your headgear, your chest, your arms, and your legs. So this is another really important aspect of your build, as all of these come with unique perks as well. And the way this works, if you look at the description, depending on what it is, the more pieces of a set you have equipped, the more benefits you get. So I've got the Pilgrim set, and you can see here with 2 pieces equipped, I get an increase to sprint speed. But if I have the full set equipped, I also get an attack increase when sprinting as well. So you can kind of get creative with this if you want, where you can mix and match, where I do like 2 pieces from the Pilgrim set to get that sprint speed increase, and 2 pieces from the Bull King set to get the defense increase. Or just sort of a standalone, like for example, this mask just by itself, it has that unique effect where using the gourd, you can use the gourd while sprinting. So you can kind of mix and match. However, going with a full set typically has the best benefits. And then on top of that, you can also upgrade armor as you get it. So you'll collect all this stuff as you play, but then once you get it, you can go to a Keeper Shrine, and there is a crafting menu. And there's an upgrade armor option, and here you can, once you get armor pieces, upgrade them. So there's a couple different levels, like it goes like uncommon, legendary, and then mythical is the highest level. But there's all sorts of resources that you collect throughout the game. Some of this stuff is used to do things like upgrade armor. So I need 2 celestial ribbons as well as some will to upgrade this. And then you can see I went from 32 to 56 defense on that headgear. And then finally, kind of the last main equipment slot is curios. So first off, you'll notice I have 5 slots. You don't start with 5, you have to unlock more, and that's done in the Zodiac Village, which is kind of a later game area that you find. But these, you'll find curios from defeating mini bosses and all sorts of different ways. But they just kind of have additional benefits that you can equip. So as you can see, I went heavy on the cat's eye beads, which increase critical hit chance, but there's a whole bunch of other things that just kind of have all sorts of benefits. So like this one would increase my maximum mana, and there's just kind of a ton of them that you can add. So that is just sort of another way that you can add more perks to your build. All right, and then you've got your brew. So this is also really important, as this is how your gourd works, or essentially your health potion. So again, you can customize this in the Keeper Shrine menu. And there's quite a few different things you can do here through 2 items. You've got your drink, and then you also have your soaks. So the drink is kind of the main thing that dictates how your gourd works. And some of these are kind of pro-cons, where it's got a benefit, but then also has a negative, like this one, where it's going to heal you a ton at 60% of your maximum health, but at the same time, it's going to briefly inebriate you and impair your movement for a little bit. Whereas this is the one I'm currently using. Doesn't heal quite as much, only 35% of my maximum health, but I'm also going to get some chi regeneration as well when I take a sip. So you kind of have to weigh the pros and the cons with some of the, they all have like their own little benefits and whatnot. The other aspect is how many soaks you can add. So you can see this one with the 3 circles, I get 3 soaks. This one's only 2 soaks. So kind of have to weigh that and read the descriptions. And then the soaks are just kind of additional enhancements to your gourd. So these are the ones I currently have, where upon resurrection in battle, it recovers gourd usage. This one also recovers some mana. And then this one, there's a chance that I don't get a gourd usage when I use it. So there's all sorts of those as well. So you can kind of customize your gourd from this menu. There's also some NPC merchants that you want to take advantage of in this game as well. The first one's related to your brew. That's with Shen Monkey. So he's located over here. You'll run right into him. You can't miss him, but this is in Chapter 1. And he is going to be the guy you want to talk to for upgrading your gourd. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can upgrade your gourd directly with an item, which is a fragrant vine. You'll find those throughout the game. So you can upgrade to get more gourd usages and things like that. And then also you can upgrade your drinks. So that is with an item called Awakening Wineworm. Again, you'll find those hidden throughout the game as well. So you can use those to upgrade your drinks to like increase the number of slots for this particular one. So he's one guy that you don't want to miss out on. And then finally, once you reach Chapter 2, make sure you don't miss Schrawgs, as that's a really important aspect of increasing the strength of your character, as he will allow you just to basically purchase upgrades or stats to your character. So this is going to be using a resource called Mind Cores, which again you'll find throughout the game. And you can see he'll just basically increase whatever you want, whether it's health, mana, stamina, defense, or resistances to elements. And like the other things, you can just remake everything and start over, so you're not committed to increasing your health. If you want to switch that out and focus on mana, you can get all your mind cores back and redo that. But he's also a character you don't want to pass up, as you can get some really good upgrades from him. So I think that's pretty much all the main stuff that goes into a build with your skills and equipment and everything. Obviously, like, there's a lot, as you actually use these items, there's a lot that goes into it and whatnot, but just kind of give you an idea of all the stuff that you have to work with. And you can kind of have all of this stuff work together to build a certain play style. So for example, I think this character, I was kind of working towards a critical hit damage and critical hit chance build. And you can check the effect. So you see on the right side all of your stats. If you hit down on the joystick, that'll bring up more specific details. So as you're adding things, like it says it slightly increases critical hit chance. You're like, well, what does that mean? You can change it and you can see, oh, it's a 3% chance. So you can see the actual numbers that way and kind of get an idea of the impact that you have on your build. So that's kind of a general gist of builds. And I think I'll kind of start wrapping things up there. This video ended up being a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But just kind of finishing things up with a couple other quick tips kind of off the top of my mind. One thing that I think is pretty useful, that I think is off by default, if you want this on anyways, is under gameplay, there is an option for the damage numbers to float up when you hit enemies. I kind of like that. It helps me sort of determine the effects of my builds if I'm doing more damage and whatnot. You'll also see criticals as yellow numbers, so I just kind of like seeing that, but I think that's off by default if I remember right, so you can turn that on. Another thing I will say is to make sure that you explore really well, as there are a lot of items that you'll find throughout the game that are going to be really beneficial. Like there's the pills that you'll find in boxes and things that'll increase your maximum health and mana and stamina, as well as meditation spots, which are basically, especially at lower levels, basically like a free skill point, but they give you a ton of XP. So make sure you're really taking the time to explore, because you will be rewarded. There also are a lot, or not a lot, but there are some side quests in this game that will give you rewards, and that requires you find characters out kind of off the beaten path and whatnot. I do have some videos about some of those side quests, so if you want to check my channel for those. But just the point being, make sure you're kind of taking the time to kind of explore, as you will get rewarded if you do that. And then also the travel system. So there are the keeper shrines. You can fast travel from point to point as you unlock those. Basically just go to the menu and then you can travel to all of the keeper shrines that you've visited. They also did put a map in this game that was kind of at a later update. So when I first played, they didn't have this, but this is a really nice addition as well. So you can open up the map and you can also fast travel from here as well. So that's a keeper shrine. You can just travel there, so you can kind of use the map to see where you're at and fast travel back to other places and whatnot. So anyways, again, I think I'll kind of wrap things up there, as this was getting a little bit long. So hopefully this does help you out and you enjoy Black Myth if you're just starting out or you're about to. I really did enjoy that. It's one of my favorite games that's come out in a while, so I do recommend it. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.